call to order the January 29th, 2026 Communications Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Carrie Weggie. Craig Pennington. Here. Lois Truman.
Here.
Rod White.
Here.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
And Alderman Gould.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at it, review it? Any concerns about it? Seeing no concerns, I'll approve that by acclamation. Next on the agenda is item C, citizen comments. If there's anybody in the audience or online none online, okay. I will close citizen comments then and move to report of the committee chair and members. Thank you for patience to this committee that we've had to kind of shift some of the meeting times, but we're really excited for what's to come and the responses on the RFQ. So and thank you to staff for all of their work. So that's the only comment I have. Alderman Plufka.
No report.
Carrie Weggie.
No report.
You. Lois Truman.
No report.
Right. Craig.
No report.
Okay. And Rod. No report. Great. That moves us down to city administrator report. No report. All right. Department report. I believe that would be you, Michelle. First item is the analytics.
Yes, so I kind of did a year in review analytics report so that we could kind of get a full picture of what worked, what didn't, where were areas of improvement, things like that for our e-newsletter, social media outlets, and website. Some key highlights that I'd like to kind of touch on are that our website has seen an increase in active users as well as new users. So that's always a great thing to see. And Facebook continues to see growth across the board. And our total number of sends for our e-newsletter increased and the number of unsubscribes decreased. So all great things. In terms of the e-newsletter, our total contacts that our e-newsletter goes to every week is 827. That is up 25.9% from last year. So we gained 170 new subscribers, and that is pretty much all organic growth. People going to our website and signing up for the newsletter. We have 727 people subscribed to receive our emails, and our open rate is 31.4%. That is down a little bit from the previous year, but as I explain in kind of my report later, that I think is due to the fact that we provide most of the information kind of upfront in the newsletter, don't necessarily require a click to learn more. So our click rate is also down a little bit, but our unsubscribe rate is down quite a bit. So that's good. As I said, we tend to offer a majority of the information within the body of the email, therefore reducing the need for someone to click. That can be both a positive and a negative, because in terms of it being a negative, it's not necessarily driving traffic to our website. So we can kind of look at different opportunities where it would make the most sense to kind of maybe provide less information up front and drive that traffic to another web page when we feel it's the most important. I think, time and place for that. Sometimes it is worthwhile to just give all the information up front. And then focusing on ways to improve our open rate. I will say that we still continue to be above average in the industry in terms of our open rate. Across the industry, the average is 21.33%. So we are above that, but there's always room for improvement. We can kind of focus on changing up our subject lines, because right now it's pretty consistent. Each week we just have the subject line as like the same. So maybe switching it up, seeing if there's different ways to grab people's attention. And then also determine, right now we're sending them on Monday afternoons. Is there a better time of day to send it? Would it be more a better idea to send it maybe lunchtime on Mondays or even on Tuesdays. So kind of, I'm going to be looking into that and seeing if I can determine if there is a more opportune time during the week to send this newsletter to increase our open rate. And then also just looking at ways to evolve our content. You know, is there an opportunity for maybe like a monthly note from the mayor or alternating notes from elected officials, things like that.
Sure.
So just looking at those opportunities.
So, before, just because there is comprehensive analytics here, any question, I want to just open it up for the committee to any comments on the newsletter, e-newsletter, sorry.
I do have one comment. I was wondering, in conjunction with the city banners, if we could possibly intermittently have our website and just say comments, question, and our website for anybody
Sure.
coming through or whatever.
Sure. Looking at, you know, any future designs, I can definitely consider that. Yeah.
On the banners?
Yes.
Yeah, the only issue with those is how small they are and how little content you can put.
Yeah, that has been an ongoing issue, is figuring out the opportune sizing for text and things like that to make those banners as effective of a communication tool as possible.
I was wondering if it could be on a diagonal, though, like top left to bottom right.
The other thing that I do like to take into consideration is that most people are seeing these banners while they're driving.
Oh, yikes.
And
yeah.
so encouraging them to, you know, take note of an email address or a website or things like that while they're supposed to be focusing on the road. But definitely something I will take into consideration, kind of look into what other communities are doing to kind of see what that opportunity could look like.
Well,
moving
maybe
forward.
then in our parks around, we could have it posted somewhere where people can readily
Yeah, I think
go right to.
I think you have to make a determination whether or not it's the right environment for it. And somebody who is able to stand in front of something, yes. If they're driving by it, no.
Right.
And the scale of it, certainly within the newsletter or even printed materials, having a QR code that can link you there is always good. One question I had is, when people sign up, do we know, you know, we have a population of just around 8,000. Do we know if the people that are signed up are residents or just interested in learning more about Brentwood?
That's a great question. I would need to dig a little bit further and see how much they MailChimp breaks down our kind of audience. So I can look into that and report back next month.
Yeah, because I mean, 827 is good, but then when you look at it as a total population, it's
Right.
still a fairly small, 10% or whatever that is of the population, which isn't too bad for an e-newsletter, but certainly room for improvement. Anything else?
A couple quick questions. Are you doing A/B testing?
No.
Okay.
What can
A/B
you?
testing is just you put in one in
Oh,
message in the message field, and then
you test two different messages
you have
to
two
see
different
who's
messages
receiving
going
what.
out. Then you pick the one that actually is performing the best, and then you send a mass email out to the one that performs best.
We haven't utilized that tactic in the past, but it's definitely something to consider in terms of as we kind of move forward and try to hone like the best times to send things.
Yeah.
I think the tricky part would be segmenting our list into two.
That's what I was going to say is if you could figure that out, it would be
Right.
nice to be able to test some of your changes to make sure that, we're going to see the results.
I think in terms of just knowing how our setup is, it may just be better to kind of test to our whole list, different send times over the course of maybe a couple months, test different send times, test different subject lines, and just go back each week and look at what's being engaged with
Sure.
and compare it over the course of a couple months to determine what's performed the best. Just because I don't know that we necessarily have our recipient list. I don't know how we would necessarily segment it into two. So I'll
Something to
look
look
into
into,
that,
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And two, to follow on with Jeff's point, is the email list segmented into residential and commercial? Okay.
Because again, it's something that people voluntarily go and manually sign themselves up for. So it hasn't been segmented into two.
Maybe again, looking at how they sign up, what information they
yeah,
provide.
I'll have to go
Do
in
we,
and look at
do
our
we add a field that allows us to at least verify whether, not that we need to verify, but if somebody wants to learn more about Brentwood, I don't care if they're a resident or not, but it'd be good for us to know how many residents we're actually reaching.
Right. And it's probably a good opportunity to look at our registration form and see if there's fields that should be added. Because this was used prior to me coming here. So it's probably a good opportunity for me to look at it and see if there's areas that we could change, add fields to the registration form, things like that. That would then allow us to more easily segment if we wanted to send things to like business owners only or residents. So I'll look into all of this and have some more information to report at the February meeting.
There's no more questions on e-newsletter. Do you want to talk about Facebook?
Yes. Essentially, you can see in all of kind of the major areas, we saw pretty significant increase in Facebook, especially, our engagement rate is kind of the only area that we saw a decrease. We've sort of talked about that over the course of the year and why we're seeing that and in different ways we can address improving that. There's the numbers, and then as we get further down into the report, I kind of go through in depth different evaluations and ways I kind of hope to move forward with that. So unless there are any Facebook specific questions, I can keep going through that.
Facebook? Nope. Okay. And LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, we did see a bit of a drop across the board for the year. However, we saw growth in our net audience, which is great news, and our video views are absolutely crushing it on LinkedIn. So our audiences are really responding to when we post videos to LinkedIn, which is nice because that was something that we sort of really just started trying out here in the latter half of the year. So we will definitely continue that and then continue looking at kind of the areas that we saw decrease and see how we can improve upon that.
I have a question too about that, or an idea. Okay. Since when we had those cameras during Brentwood bound, that you could see the status all the way through and whatever, and I don't know if that's still in place. No. Because I was thinking periodically those shots of Brentwood Park or, like after the snow or those kind of things. And I know everything was flooded with all the pictures from everybody, but that could be something that we continually highlight our assets around Brentwood.
Yeah, and I think that we've got, Chief Bernie from Fire Department has a drone. He's been sending it up and taking good pictures of and providing that to staff as not only just our administrative staff, but park staff. Park staff also takes pretty good pictures regularly, and they seem to be kind of increasing. So the static cameras that we had that were mounted, we had to pay for a service for all of that.
Yeah.
We decided it was not worth continuing to pay for a service when there's not an active construction site or anything going on. So that's where we ended up with it.
But that could be something that we add on LinkedIn too, or even Facebook.
Thank you.
Excuse my ignorance on this, but when we make a Facebook post, does that go on all Brentwood Facebook users, or is it just posted? In other words, do we spend money promoting it to?
We are not paying to boost any posts at present.
Right.
That is something we could look into, but we've been lucky that we haven't deemed it necessary for us to boost.
We've done it in the past.
Yeah.
That can't cost a lot of money, can it?
No, I don't think
depends.
money is the issue, but
No.
we've done it in the past on specific projects. But if the committee feels that we should do that, for what purpose? then it's something to consider.
I think it would have to be for strategic purposes, like, you know,
Right.
Brentwood Days and
Exactly.
different activities that we'd want to just to make sure that we get as much engagement
Right.
as possible.
We did it a lot during Brentwood Bound, and, you know, that went for,
But maybe when we
gosh,
have
a
open
lot of
houses
years.
for different
Yeah.
initiatives, maybe we need to think about more
Yeah, absolutely.
boosting things like
Yeah,
that.
it is a relatively low cost way to kind of expand your audience for a
Money's
specific
not the factor.
voice.
Or when trash, you know, things change, maybe. Okay. On that awkward note, we'll move on to website.
Okay, the website. We have 171,000 active users. And now I'm looking at this, and this number seems a little bit off, the fact that 168,000 of them are new users. So I need to clarify that number. Now I'm looking at it again, and something doesn't make sense, so I apologize about that. Our average engagement time per user is 58 seconds. So I do take that to be a positive, that they are coming to the website for a specific piece of information, they are locating it, and then they're going about their business. Most of our users are finding us via organic search. So they're Googling us and then finding our website. You know, and then after that, they're reaching us through a direct link to our website that they have found on a different website on Facebook, things like that. And then after that, they're finding us via referral. So they're finding us by clicking on a link on another website. So, our number one visited page is the homepage, which is great. And then skating, ice rink, Brentwood Park. The park continues to be our high traffic area, which is great. And, you know, we love to see that. It is a lot of skating rink, which is a little surprising. Skating sessions in the ice rink. So people love our ice rink.
I assume that's all the hockey teams.
Probably, yeah, because then you'll see adult hockey is also on there. It's one of our most visited page. But Parks and Rec, so people are probably visiting there to see their programming, and people are searching our website. So overall, we're seeing really great traffic on the website. As we know, there's always room for improvement on there, so we continue to work to make it more user-friendly and continue working towards that goal.
All right, any questions on the website? No?
Do you have a count on the inbound and outbound links?
No, but I can look into that.
Helps with the organic search.
Okay. So some of the key big picture takeaways are our audience growth is strong across all of our platforms. Facebook continues to be our number one platform, which I think makes a lot of sense given who our general primary audience is. Our engagement quality is mixed. Our reach and impressions are growing, but engagement rates and clicks are declining. So we just want to look at how we can kind of maintain those areas that we're seeing success and then grow the areas where maybe we're declining a little bit and continue with our video content. You know, we can continue to amp that up because we've seen market success when we do utilize that. And people continue to use the website as their primary source of information about the city of Brentwood, especially Parks and Rec and the ice rink.
Is there functionality within our website that allows I know some websites, the structure can pull in social media content onto the homepage.
Like integrate it?
And integrate it in. But I'm more thinking about the video content, if there's a way that when we do post that, there's an area of the website that pulls
Like a
that
live
in.
feed
just,
almost?
Or just pulls in some of the video content. You know, that way that people who come to the website may also then want to start to follow either our social channel or you know, scroll through some of the videos without even leaving the site. Something to think about as you enhance the user experience there.
Yeah, I actually, I'm due for, you know, a check-in meeting with our website host. So these are questions that I can ask them.
Any other big takeaway comments? All right, great. Anything else? We've got key takeaways on everything else?
Yeah, and
But
do you want
that's-
me to go through those, or?
Unless there's something, I don't know, I don't think we need to go through every
Okay.
one of these, but unless there's something really notable that you think is
No,
important
and a
for-
lot of this we've kind of touched on given the conversations. One of the specific, we want to continue to kind of grow and determine the best type of content in terms of engagement and driving engagement, encouraging people to engage on our posts holistically instead of when it's posted on the community group. But again, we've discussed the benefit of when those things are discussed on that private group because it gives a little more sense of security to our residents. I want to continue to learn and kind of understand more about how our website operates, and then that'll kind of help in aiding in our user experience for our residents and people visiting our website. So just continue determining better ways for us to kind of utilize the website as a communications tool. Clearly, it is being utilized a lot, so I just want to make sure it's the best experience possible for our visitors. And so that's kind of.
And then I know that it's not digital analytic or anything like that, but the printed materials that we do, we still have a printed newsletter.
We have the newsletter. And so, yeah, we continue to utilize that. That's a really great tool. People really respond well to that.
And we
so-
send that to every address. Or
Yeah.
do we have an opportunity for some to maybe opt out of receiving it?
So I don't know how that list was, I'm sorry, I can't think of the word,
The distribution list was created.
compiled
Yeah.
for the hard copy list. I know that Gene Dell has held that list. They've had the list. They had that list before I even got here. And so they send that. It would be worthwhile for me to kind of check in with them.
I think we cross-reference it with planning, so we know that when there's a tear down, and an infill goes in, it's still current. So it's external, internal. It's a combination of two to.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have the redundancy, especially for those that aren't as tech savvy. I mean, we definitely need that. But even when you look at Gene Dell, they did a process of maybe not delivering newspapers to everybody and opting out, and then eventually they're not even doing the newspaper. So I think we should talk with them about how that list is created, maybe even in the printed newsletter. Maybe we create a survey on whether or not people would like to opt out of receiving it at home, and how we might facilitate that. That may be more difficult to do, but
I'll do a touch base with Gene Dell just in terms of the list and ensure that it's being updated as necessary.
I think we also need to look at our files and see how we developed it, and look at the history to make sure we have accurate information.
I'll go back and dig through the old files on my computer.
Is that mailed with a person's name on it or just to an address? Is it like a postal patron kind of thing?
An
or
address.
It's
the
to an address.
resident at whatever. the
Exactly.
address
At
is.
an address? Okay. We use a company called L2, and it's got both the current voter registration list. It's got like what you had for breakfast yesterday on it. It's got an amazing amount of data. But they also have a consumer list that is theoretically everybody. And it doesn't cost much to get that. I mean, it would be a good thing to compare the current list by. As a disclaimer, we've had a little trouble with the consumer list where people may live outside of the jurisdiction that we're mailing to. And we think, although we haven't confirmed, that's records that are messy on the voter registration list. Those can be notoriously messy. But anyhow, it doesn't cost much to look at that source. Again, it's just the letter L and the number 2. And that's the best supplier of lists that we've been able to find. And I'm pretty sure that's who we used in Brentwood on the 2 elections that we worked on. We have used that L2 list for quite a little while now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And you can you can map it and make sure the dots match the boundaries of the city. So if you looked at the consumer list, you can just map the addresses and kind of have a sense of what the city limits are and see how accurate it is.
I think now that I remember, I know we've also partnered with St. Louis County, their GIS department, to set the boundaries and then pull from that. So
Right.
it's been a number of different ways that we've arrived at that, but it's good to take another look.
Right. As you know, lists are notoriously messy.
Right.
Great. Any overall thoughts before we move on to the consent agenda? Okay. Anybody have a motion to approve the consent agenda? All that we have on here is the minutes from the November 18th meeting.
Make a motion to approve to this point. Is that how we're doing?
Consent agenda, yeah.
Consent, yes, agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All right. Do we need a roll call or voice vote? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, consent agenda stands approved. Move on to old business. First up is the request for qualifications for the Crisis Communication Consultant Services. You want to give us an update on where that stands?
Yes. We issued the RFQ for seeking on-call crisis communications consulting services to provide us communication, professional support in times of, well, crisis. And we received, our bids were due on Thursday, January 15th at 12 p.m. We received 3 qualified submissions, and a review committee is working to review those submissions. And once the committee has reviewed them, all of the submissions will be made available in the agenda packet for committee review when we bring a recommendation to the committee.
And did those, of those 3, were they ones that we're familiar with? Have we used any of them in the past? Okay,
Yes.
all right, great. Any questions regarding the crisis communication? So as far as timing goes, you're thinking maybe by the next committee meeting, we'll have something to review? All right, great. And then can you give us a sense for, who's on that panel for
Yes.
discussion?
I have members from the Parks Department, the Administration Department, and Police
Okay,
on that review committee.
makes sense. Anybody, any questions? Great, we'll move on to item 2, request for qualifications, responses for a logo and branding initiative.
Again, we issued the RFQ on December 1st for our logo and branding initiative, and submissions were due on Thursday, January 15th at 12 p.m. We received actually 22 submissions. It says 21, but we did receive 22 submissions for that, so it was a great response. I have put together a review committee to review those. Given the volume of materials there are to review, it's going to take a little bit, but I do hope to have, again, that review session completed by our next committee meeting, and we will make those submissions available prior to that meeting when we bring a recommendation.
It's great.
Local versus out of state?
Both
Yeah, is there?
pretty equally distributed, I would say.
Distributed? Okay, great. That's good to know. And
And my review committee for that is, again, I've got Public Works, Parks, Administration representatives on that committee.
And so the plan would be, I'm presuming the plan would be to bring we're not going to look at 22, although
Right.
we'll have access to the
Correct.
submissions. You'll bring forward maybe a few that you're feeling, or one as a recommendation, and then,
We'll discuss.
okay. But then this committee, though, will have access to all of the submissions, so that if there's anyone we want to have discussions about, we can. In the addendums or in the process, did we learn anything that might help future RFQs in some of the questions that were asked for the addendums or anything like that?
Yeah, there's one addendum that was pretty robust, and that was just kind of a collection of questions that we had received over the course of a period of time that we addressed all in one. And so I think that particular addendum will help guide future RFQs when we draft those.
Right?
Did anybody submit on both?
No,
Interesting.
I mean, I think because personally, the way that the branding one is so focused, I don't think you have too many agencies that are able to do that really well and then also manage public relations and crisis communication. But, you know, it's not to say there aren't those out there, but well, I for one am incredibly excited to see what you all review and recommend, and
It was happily overwhelming, the response we got.
yeah, this committee's going to have some fun here.
And I would like to thank Octavia for helping me organize all of the submissions into files, because there was a lot of paperwork, because everyone submitted 6 hard copies.
So is a question for future, right? Is that a requirement of because of municipality that we require physical submissions as well as electronic?
I don't think it's a requirement of municipality, it's preference. You know, we might have some staff that prefer digital and others that have hard copy. And over the years, we're going more and more to digital. But I think it's a matter of preference.
Okay, great. It's good
I
to
will
know.
say from strictly, I like the hard copy, especially when it's more of like a creative project type thing,
Yeah.
especially for people in this field. I think hard copy makes a difference.
Yeah, it can be presented in a nicer way if that's important. Yep. Okay. Any other questions regarding the process or that initiative?
I just want to say, the hard copy serves like body language does. Otherwise, is how I see that. I think that's a good idea.
And then as far as the sizes are they, in addition to the question about companies that are local, or are we seeing similar size capabilities, or is it all across the board as well?
I don't think we have any like sole proprietors, but we've got some smaller companies, and then we've
really big
firms. Yep,
So we've got a good range
Yes.
to look at, whether that's the larger firms or the...
exactly.
International firms.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. All right. We're stepping up here.
But everyone does have a U.S. presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I say international, they do work
Yes.
globally.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
what I mean.
Understood. Okay. All right. Great. If that's no other questions, I'll conclude the old business. We'll move into new business. STL TV price increase for AV services. You taking that?
So in 2019, we issued an RFP for audiovisual services in City Hall. And we received submissions and entered into a contract with STL TV to kind of provide those services to us, and they've been providing those services to us ever since. We were contacted by the director of that organization near the end of last fiscal year to let us know that based on ongoing pay increases to staff and based on results of a compensation pay study conducted by St. Louis City, who is kind of the parent organization to STL TV, that they were going to have to increase their prices. At present, we pay $250 per meeting, and they will be increasing that price to $300 a meeting. I will say this is the first price increase since we began working with them in 2019. So it's, and so, in fiscal year 25, we spent $17,125 on audiovisual services from STL TV. And we expect that we will be able to absorb this in the miscellaneous contractual expenses fund that we currently pay out of.
So no need to increase or do a budget amendment or anything like that. Okay. And then as far as services, I know we've had some IT issues, we've had some technical issues, and you're feeling confident from a partnership that they're
Yes.
okay.
Especially because when it comes to like IT issues with the system itself, a lot of that is managed by our IT department. and not necessarily STLTV, but when we have issues that STLTV has the ability to address, they're really great. They're responsive. I have a few people that I kind of communicate fairly regularly with at STLTV, and it's always been a positive experience. So
So your recommendation is
my
to,
recommendation would be to continue on with them. Yeah.
any thoughts from the committee on that? Go ahead.
When you say our IT department, you mean the shared IT department?
With Clayton,
that's in
yeah.
Clayton, okay. And are there other companies like STLTV that provide these services?
There are.
You know,
Okay.
when we issued an RFQ 2019, 2018,
Yeah.
we had 3 companies that submitted a proposal. One was the 2 individuals that were doing it before, and
Right.
we wanted to go to greater technology support. And then the other was another firm that did the Brentwood Bound video, and then
STLTV.
STLTV. And they're all equally capable. Then cost became a factor as well in the evaluation, so.
But would you say the issues we've experienced from time to time at meetings have been more an issue of IT than they have of what STLTV provides?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Technology.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I will reiterate that I, having had some experience as a property owner in other municipalities that don't provide this type of service, it's really limiting for residents if they don't have access to be able to view a meeting like we're having right now, or to be able to go back on to see the YouTube feed, or, so, I mean, I think it's important that we do invest in this communications. So I guess I will, if the committee agrees, I would entertain a motion to recommend the approval of the proposed increase for STLTV rate for video production services from $250 to $300 per meeting effective July 2026.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, great. And then does this need to go to the full board or to Ways and Means? Or is this because it's within the budget of,
It's such a minimal amount, and we're not changing the agreement.
Right.
So I think this is good.
okay, great. So,
You have to have a roll call then.
Do we
Yes,
have to? Yeah,
roll call.
okay. There you go.
all right, so, all right, any other comments before we take roll call?
Have it listed to go to Ways and Means, so you don't think we need to? Okay, so we do have it listed to go from here to Ways and Means.
Okay, okay. Is it just for,
Just for information.
Information, though.
I think
Because it's money,
even though it's a
Yeah,
yeah,
municipal.
because it's
understood.
financial.
No, I think it's smart to do that. So that's good. I just didn't want to, before we vote, I wanted to make sure we didn't need to amend the motion for any other approvals that would need to go beyond this committee.
Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we just do the roll call.
Okay, all right. Roll call, please.
I have committee member Weggie.
Yes.
Sorry, Lois Truman,
Yes.
and then Rod White,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
and then Alderman Gould.
Yes,
Motion passed.
wonderful. Thank you so much. That brings us to the last citizen comments section. Anybody join us online or in the room that wants to make any comments?
No one online.
All right, great. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.